So we're going to wait, and you're going to go tick-tock, 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 tick-tock. And the broadcast has been interrupted because we are overloaded. And here we are. Welcome in, everybody, on Facebook Live. I know it was a little bit difficult to get to, but I'm Jim Dietlow. I'm the owner and the host here at WJOB in Hammond, Indiana, and you can watch us on Facebook right now, or you can watch us on WJOB Network, or as many of you are doing, you're driving around in your car, and you're driving around the Calumet region. This segment sponsored by Vince Mazza of Guard Street. Vincent, tell us what Guard Street is.
Hi, Jim. Well, Guard Street, we're a cybersecurity company, and we focus on providing organizations, companies, and consumers with proactive services and tools designed to protect themselves from cyber attacks. And then we also provide the emergency response should there be an incident that we need to help you with.
Is it safe to say that you're the guy that we maybe don't want to see sometimes?
No, you always want to see me because we focus on the proactive side.
No, that's what it is. You don't want to see him coming through the door after you've already been hacked. That's when you don't want to see him. Hey, so if somebody wanted to enhance their own personal security and privacy, what website would they go and how would they sign up?
Sure. So they can go to guardstreet.com, www.guardstreet.com. And from a personal perspective, we've got privacy protection, identity theft protection. And then from a business perspective, reach out. You know, we've got not only enterprise solutions, but also smaller business solutions as well.
Vince, we're in a pandemic. Anybody who watches this later, this is the last day of the first 6 months of 2020. It's been crazy. Protests, primaries, and pandemic, but mostly the coronavirus is still hanging around. A lot of people are at home now working. There's no traffic on the roads, maybe a little bit in the middle of the day when people go to the store or the beach. But other than that, it's just a lot has gone and shifted online. What does that mean for your business and your message?
Well, I don't mean to alarm the audience today, but we're getting used to these stories about a pandemic. And based on our research and some recent events, it appears that there could be a cyber pandemic around the corner. And so I wanted to share a little bit about what that means and what you should do to prepare for it. And what it means is, if you could imagine millions of people not being able to access the internet or your phone or your computer, it would be a massive lifestyle change, as if we need more of those, Jim. And, you know, it's something that appears to be real. It could be quite significant, and it's dangerously underreported given the potential change. And it's being compared, the cyber pandemic is compared to the health pandemic for three reasons. One is because it would be a rapid spread from a digital virus that would almost be unstoppable. Second, it could have just as dire of an economic impact as what we've seen with with COVID-19. And then third is, you know, it's not something that would necessarily be quick to fix or essentially find a virus for right away. And I started with, I don't want to alarm people because, you know, for the last decade, cyber professionals have been talking about a cyber pandemic. It's been a decade of this, but then the last couple of years that seemed to die down, that kind of talk. But over the last couple of weeks, a couple of things have happened. One is a very reputable cybersecurity company out of Tel Aviv had recently brought to the attention that hey, there's some major gaps here. This is real. This could happen. And then the World Economic Forum over the last week met, and they're looking at the cyber pandemic as something that's inevitable. So it's a big deal to look at, and you should consider your options right now.
Well, the person that you're listening to on the radio, or the person that you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, or wherever you might be picking this up here, is talking about a cyber pandemic. Now, there is a bit of a context here, in that I had a guy on early on talking about the coming coronavirus pandemic, and I had a lot of people complain, like, hey, why are you bringing a guy on that's painting the world in such a dire situation? And I didn't feel as if he was. He was just telling everybody about the possibility. He had written a book on pandemics and grew up around here, so I just happened to meet him, and here he is. And he gave a foreshadowing. A lot of what he said was true. So I'm hoping that this is not a second truism that comes out and we're foreshadowing of what would happen. But Vince, it's basically a possibility of something that could happen, and that means what for business?
Well, it's a possibility, but let me tell you why it's a possibility first. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, in a very unplanned and rapid fashion, we moved employees offline. We moved services online that previously weren't online. We moved an enormous amount of data into the cloud, and we essentially brought 5 to 10 years of technological advancement in a matter of days. And consequently, cybersecurity was put aside. And that's evident because there's been a 400% increase in cyber attacks over the last 100 days or so. So that's why. Here's what you should do now. I know I've got a few more minutes here, Jim, so I really want to get to this, which is look at your cyber posture as an individual and for your business, and look at how you can back up your data, both in the cloud and locally. Look at how you can protect your internet interactions and security of your employees who are logging into your network from the outside. Protect your network, protect your email, and most importantly start thinking about scenario exercises. What would you do if your internet was down for any period of time? How would you talk to your customers? Would it be snail mail? I mean, is there a way? How would you communicate with your employees? On a personal note, how would you communicate with your loved ones? These are just things to be thinking about right now, given the latest events and trends.
All right, so first start for, say, a $2.5 million business with 24 employees. Let's say an employee for every 100 grand. So it's 25 employees. Where do they start?
Well, the first thing you need to do is identify what your crown jewels are for that business. Okay, if your network was hacked, what would that mean to your business? If somebody got into your data in the cloud, you need to have an incident response plan. What things should go into effect should you be hacked? But I like to look at things proactively, and I advise our clients to look at things proactively too. Now, once you've identified what your crown jewels are that you don't want to have a bad guy get at, how are you going to protect them? Which is typically a network, and you should also consider having an ethical hacker try to hack into your business and tell you where the gaps are, so that you can cover them up from a bad guy.
Vince, for the small, medium-sized business, once again, if you're driving around, we're talking to Vince Mazza, CEO of Guard Street. We'll be checking in with him on just in general about computer security for your business or for your home and your personal. But in terms of the small to medium-sized business, are you more worried about, like, say, a system-wide virus that can kind of take down segments or even the entire internet, or are you more worried about specific single hackers, like one-to-one, one hacker to one business?
Well, I would answer that as really all of the above. I mean, the cyber pandemic, the topic today is, we're looking at an enormous amount of people being impacted. It's impossible to plan for everything, but you should be starting to think through a scenario exercise where if the internet went down or all the mobile phones were off for a day or two or more, how would you conduct your business? But I'm also very concerned about the small business, because there are many things that they should be doing right now to protect those crown jewels, as I mentioned. Every network should be scanned so that you can avoid having a hacker essentially get in through an open port, or maybe it might be an upgrade that is long overdue. That's the type of thing that we want to help businesses with. And email security is absolutely should be top of mind right now. And we saw a 667% increase in phishing emails over the last 100 days. That's massive, and phishing email ultimately leads to malware and ransomware being dropped.
Let's circle back to the beginning. You don't want to alarm people, but
Right.
we do have to at least paint a possible picture, okay? I did that early on with the coronavirus, and it was horrible, and it was I was like, oh, that'll never happen. Well, basically all of the stuff happened that the guy pointed out. And I don't want that to here, but give us an idea of a really, of a part of a worst case scenario.
Sure. So let's look at how our government had handled the coronavirus. They took decisive action, and the way to slow the spread of the coronavirus was to keep us at home, and by keeping us at home, that slowed the spread, in some cases stopped it. Not fast enough, obviously, but what could happen here is a similar approach. How do you stop a spread of a digital virus? It's the same way. You've got to stop it. You've got to turn off the internet. You've got to turn off the digital devices for a period of time until you can find essentially the vaccine for it. That's a typical approach, is to stop it. Stop it for the period of time while you're identifying where the vulnerability was and how to fix it.
Wow.
So not to cause alarm, but that is a very common tactic to address that.
He's Vince Mazza, CEO of Guard Street. Now you know why they're doing so well, and why so many people turn to Guard Street for cybersecurity and privacy and planning, as Vince is talking about. Let's end with that, Vince. Sometimes it's just an attitude. People driving around here in this industrial area. They've got their mini mills, they've got transport companies, you've got finishing plants, you've got all sorts of industry around here. They just want to make widgets and sell them.
Right.
They don't even want to hear what you're having to say. How do you open up minds and say, hey, just a little bit of attention here could save you a lot of problems later?
Yeah, that's exactly the way to start the conversation, because with a few approaches, you can save yourself an enormous amount of money down the road, with the typical breach costing $200,000. A little prevention goes a long way to avoid spending that kind of money.
All right, of course, you know where you can start with that. You can get a hold of Vince at Guard Street. You can even call him directly. The number's on the website, guardstreet.com. Anything else you want to add today, Vince?
You know what? Just be careful. Practice good cyber hygiene, use good passwords, and multi-factor everything.
There it is. That's just the start. If you don't know what any of that means, then you need to call Guard Street, all right? Good enough. Multi-factor. That's the one that nobody wants to hear because it slows things down just a little bit. And you hear it if you have a pool of people in a 8-person area where computers are, and everybody's got a multi-factor a few times during the day. There may be a curse word from time to time, but that saves a lot of problems down the line.
Sure does.
Hey, thanks a lot, Vince. Like always, we'll be checking in with Guard Street. Thank you, Vince. And I'm going to end this here on our Zoom, so I'll see Vince later. All right. And I will tell you that if you are, if that scared you a little bit, we kind of soft shoot it a little bit. There are some amazing dangers out there, and we will cover some of them as we do the checking in with Guard Street from time to time. So for this one, I'm Jim Dietlow. That will end this, and you can, of course, pick it up on our website at wjobnetwork.com or anytime on our Facebook Live. Thanks a lot.